Well, hi, everyone. We're so glad you could join us. My name is Cindy Cool, and with me is Joyce Nichols. And if you've joined our webinars before, you know we've been in the software training and consulting business for over 25 years and almost 20 years with ACT. So it's our pleasure today to show you how you can use Outlook along with ACT to record your emails and integrate your calendar between the two systems. These are the topics that Joyce will be sharing with you today. And since this is just 25 minutes, she will be going through this training rather quickly. But remember, you'll be sent the video, the recording, in a couple of days, so you can watch it over and over again or even share it with your colleagues. Joyce will be showing this integration using ACT for Windows and a locally installed version of Outlook. But as hopefully you're aware, there are various versions of ACT that you can be using. So if you are using something that's slightly different than what Joyce is doing today and you have questions about that, please let me know. Again, there's multiple options now for you on ACT, and we are happy to help you make sure you're on the right version. So SwiftPage recognizes that Outlook is the #1 email system used by businesses today, so they've made every effort to integrate or connect the two programs together. If you've been using the ACT and Outlook integration already, you may think, well, what's really changed? As it looks very familiar. However, there are some new features that Joyce will be pointing out. One of the major changes that has recently just been done in the new versions of ACT is SwiftPage has made some major investment into making sure their version of ACT works with the current version of Outlook. So they've actually reprogrammed the integration and made this more stable and a lot more better to be used for recording those emails and your calendaring synchronization. And Joyce will talk about that a little bit more as we go through. So again, we're very confident this new integration method is a lot more stable and reliable. So for those of you who have maybe in the past have had some issues with the integration with Outlook, please don't be afraid to use it, to work with it. Again, we're here to help in any way that we can. So Joyce, take it away and show them the integration with ACT and Outlook.
Thanks, Cindy, and welcome to everyone as well from me. I've got the demo database pulled up, and so what I'd like to show you today, as Cindy said, are the new features with the Outlook integration. And I, from a technical standpoint, have been real thrilled with the Outlook integration, how stable it is, and also the new features that they have incorporated. So many of you may already use the Outlook integration, so some of this might be some review. But again, pick up those new features because I know that you'll find those valuable. So I'm going to start from the very beginning and show you how to set up the integration with Outlook. So the first thing you'll do is you'll click the Tools menu, scroll down, and click Preferences, Email and Outlook Sync. So right now there is no integration with the email of ACT and Outlook. I'm going to click on Email System Setup. I'm going to click Next, and we're going to choose Microsoft Outlook. Next. This is where when you're first setting your ACT up to integrate with Outlook, this will be your point where you integrate your address book. So again, I kind of look at the steps or the screens on the wizard. We're on screen 3. So this is where we need to add your database, and then your database will become an address book in Outlook. We're going to choose Add, and you'll put in your username and your password, and then choose OK. And then this is a common screen that you'll receive. If Outlook is already open, you'll have to close Outlook for the integration to take place. And I left my Outlook open so you could see the screen and not think that you've done something wrong. Going to choose OK, Next, and screen 4 of the wizard, just keep the recommended setting, and then we're going to click to screen 5. This is a great new feature that they have programmed into the new Outlook integration. If you've set up your email integration, you're very familiar that this is where you decide the type of history that you'll record. The most common is the email subject and message. But again, you do have some choices. Maybe you don't want to record any emails and that you want to be able to decide on an email by email basis which emails you want to record. Remember, these are defaults and that can be overridden on each email. So we're going to choose email, subject, and message recommended. So the way that ACT used to work with the Outlook integration is when you would send an email to a contact that wasn't in the database, you would not be notified. What would happen, and I see that several of you are on the call, I've worked with you before on this, what would happen is that email would get dumped into what they call the history queue. It wouldn't be recorded into the database and you wouldn't know it. And you would have to monitor the history queue that was down in the lower right. And again, that will be familiar to several of you. And you need to check that periodically through the week to see the emails that weren't recorded. Now there is a button that you can check, a box that you can check. So every time you send an email that email address is not an ACT, you'll be immediately notified before the email is even sent. Great feature, and I'll demonstrate this to you when we are actually in Outlook. And again, then you'll want to exclude the My Record from the history. So we're going to choose Next. And then if you want to create activities, if you receive an Outlook email, a lot of times people don't know that you can actually create a calendar event in ACT. So when you accept a meeting invitation in Outlook, you can have ACT automatically create that for you as well on the calendar. And so then this is where you'd want to create the ACT activity when you accept a meeting invitation in Outlook, and you would have that set. So I'm going to choose Next and Finish. So for a lot of you, that was familiar, except just for those few changes that were made. But this is another feature that is new. We're going to click on Tools, Synchronize with Outlook, Synchronization Preferences. Let's talk about the new things that have been built into ACT v20.1. First of all, we've already integrated the database. So in the previous screen under Tools Preferences, so that's populated for us automatically. But let's take a look at the options when we click Change. So right now we're synchronizing with Outlook. I'm going to click the Change button. Notice I can synchronize now with Office 365 or Exchange. Great feature. So many of us are working in the cloud anymore. And so this gives us an ability to synchronize with Office 365 and Exchange. So that is a great new feature. So we're going to keep it with Outlook, and I'm going to choose OK. And I want to briefly discuss synchronizing your calendar and synchronizing your contacts. Why would you want to synchronize your calendar, ACT calendar with Outlook? Well, in a company, most of the time, everyone in the company does not have ACT. Everyone uses Outlook, but they don't use ACT. Well, as you know, the advantage, if you're an ACT user, the advantage of using the ACT calendar is that you schedule your activities with the customer or with the client. And then when you clear those activities, that posts back to history on the contacts record. So that's why as an ACT user, you want to use the ACT calendar instead of the Outlook calendar. But in reality, you still need to get your ACT activities to the company Outlook calendar. So that's where you can click on the drop down and you can choose your options. Now, most of our clients sync ACT to Outlook. There is an option for a two-way sync. Sometimes that doesn't work as in reality as well as you might think. So we strongly recommend as an ACT user that you schedule everything in ACT and then synchronize it with Outlook. So I'm going to choose Sync ACT to Outlook. And let's take a look at these advanced preferences. And I want to go over some of the new things that have been released with the revised integration. First of all, this will be familiar to you, really nothing new here. You decide what types of activities you'd like to sync. And again, then you can select your date range and what you want to have happen with your activity alarms. Schedule automatic synchronization. You want ACT to synchronize automatically for you. You don't want to have to manually remember to manually do it. So let me show you some new things here. You have many more auto synchronization choices. Again, you can sync in real time when records change. You can synchronize every 15 minutes. So there are some new choices here. This is great. You can set up a sync timer. So perhaps you want to synchronize only between 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. So you can decide your sync times. Take a look at this. Log in, delay in minutes. So when you start ACT in the morning or whenever you open ACT, what will happen is if this database, if it's a time where you're supposed to be syncing, what will happen is as you log in and kind of the system is getting up and going, ACT is going to be doing all this synchronizing for you with Outlook, and it can delay you. So you can set perhaps maybe 15 minutes after you log in. That's when you want the synchronization with ACT and Outlook to start. So great new feature with that. Now the Synchronize Contacts, what Cindy and I have found in our business is sometimes this will cause duplicates. If you're a single user in ACT, no problem. But sometimes when you synchronize your contacts, when you have multiple ACT users, that can cause duplicates. So that's not something that we recommend. I mean, it's personal preference, but that's not something that we recommend. So hopefully you've seen so far, even just in this brief time, just some great new ACT features. Now I do want to show you real quickly, I'm going to bounce over because some of you use the web version of ACT. So I'm going to open, I have the web version of ACT opened. Now, if you open in Internet Explorer, not Chrome, but Internet Explorer, I want you to see that under the Tools menu, Synchronize with Outlook, you have the same settings. You'll need to download a piece, a software that will be downloaded automatically for you. But I just want to assure you that this is available in the cloud version of ACT as well. And if you are syncing your cloud version with Exchange or Office 365, there's a patch called ACT Connect Link that will allow you to synchronize with something other than Outlook locally. So anyway, I wanted to bring that to your attention. So let's go ahead. First of all, I'm going to close Outlook because I made some changes in my integration. I'm going to close Outlook and reopen. I'm going to go ahead and set that up, and then I'm going to go ahead and open Outlook again, and it'll pick up those changes. And I've got some just example emails of how you might use this and some of the new features that you'll see in Outlook. I can't tell you how valuable Outlook, the Outlook integration is with ACT. Just the other day, it happened to be yesterday as a matter of fact, I had a client who called me. They had a new computer, and they said, about a year ago, you helped me with some type of resolution issue. You helped me fix it on my computer. Well, I couldn't remember what it was. So I just went into ACT and I just searched because I had kept that email because I record my emails. I just went on the history tab and I knew it was something about the resolution. So I went to that contacts record and in the keyword, I just typed the word resolution and clicked go, and that email came up. It was over a year ago and that email came up. So again, it's really nice to be able to record those emails. So let's go ahead and go into Outlook and let's see how some of this integration, the new integration works. So I have an email from Paul, and Paul asks me, wondering if there might be a time where we could connect so you could take a look at Louise's computer. Sure, that works for me. I want to send him an email that I could work with him. So I'm going to click on reply. And I'll go ahead and reply back to Paul. And again, remember that if Paul is in the database, that email will be recorded automatically. And just to enforce that, let's go ahead and look up Paul. And I can see there's the email that's recorded because Paul was in my database. But I can also go ahead, I said 1 o'clock works great. I can go ahead from within Outlook and create an ACT activity. I'm going to choose my Add-ins tab. Here's my toolbar commands. These are all my ACT icons. I'm going to go ahead and create an ACT activity. I'm going to click the button, and what you'll notice in just a few seconds, the Schedule Activity box from ACT is going to display, where I can go ahead and from Outlook, go ahead and schedule. I can change my activity type. I can go ahead and schedule that appointment. It was at 1 o'clock, and that's automatically on my calendar. Now, I really don't need to save this email anymore. So again, I keep my inbox cleared out because it's in ACT. I've replied to him, so it's in ACT. It's on my calendar. So at this point, with the way that I use my inbox, I just go ahead and delete that. Now, here's an email from John. I was referred to you by Sue Jones. Could you please send me information on your services? That's great. It's a new customer or a new prospect. So I want to make sure that I get John entered into ACT. On, again, the Add-ins toolbar, in the toolbar commands, this is the Create ACT Contact button. So I can click on the Create ACT icon. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and create the contact, populate that information. Now, one thing that's new, some of you may have been doing this in the past, but one thing I'd like to point out that's new is they've added the ID status field. And so that's new. Before you had to go back in. Again, remember, outside of the name and address, your ID status is your most important field because that's how you mine your database. You know, are they customers, are they prospects, are they, leads or whatever nomenclature you use. But again, you want to make sure that you populate that ID status. So now they've put it right on the new contact screen. So again, I can immediately create this John as a contact. But perhaps I don't know that John is new. So what I'd like to show you next is the new feature that you will really like. I'm going to reply to John. And I'm going to say, thanks for reaching out. Something simple. And I'm going to choose send. ACT immediately tells me, this is just such a great feature, I think. ACT immediately tells me that John's email address is not in the database. Again, in the past, you would send it, you wouldn't know it. It would put it in that history queue, that little tiny button that you had to monitor every few days. But now I'm immediately notified that John is not in the database. So at this point, again, maybe it's an email that I don't want to record. But at this point, this isn't a contact that I want to record. So I'm going to go ahead right from the screen, create a new ACT contact and attach. First of all, I have to choose the person. And then I'm going to attach. And again, this is ABC Company, and the contact that's really his email. So his name is really John Nichols. And again, I would put in the ID status. So I'm creating right from my initial send. I'm going to select OK and choose OK. Now this really kind of does two things at the same time. It's a two-step occurrence here. I'm going to look up John. And what I see is it created the contact for me automatically. And it also recorded the email. So it did both things. It's not I have to record to create the contact and then I have to go back in and attach the email. It did it all in one fell swoop. Great feature, great new feature. Let's take a look at this email from Jennifer. Jennifer emailed me, can we meet to go over the ACT report? Tomorrow at 1 p.m., does that work? So I'm going to reply to Jennifer. And I'm going to go ahead and send her the report that we've been working on. So I'm going to attach the file. So she will have the updated report that we're working on. But remember that my default is to record email, subject, and message. I want this attachment to be stored as well as part of the email. So what I have to do is to go into the Add-ins tab and change my default to email, subject, message, and all attachments. There's nothing wrong with that, doing it that way, but I like to do things easier. So what I do in my work is I customize. This is your quick access toolbar. So what I do is I customize that toolbar to add my button, so I don't always have to find it on the Add-ins tab, click on the drop-down. So I'd like to show you how to do that next. So on my quick access toolbar, I'm going to right-click, Show Quick Access Toolbar below the ribbon. Again, just makes it easier to see, right? My eyes don't have to jump over that ribbon. Then what I'm going to do is to click the Add-ins tab. I'm going to right-click on my custom toolbars, Add to the Quick Access Toolbar. So now every time I start a new email, this button will be here. So all I have to do is to click the button and change my default. I want email, subject, message, and all attachments. So again, very easy to override, especially when you have one of those buttons. I'm going to send that to Jennifer. Again, she's not a contact. I thought she was a contact in the database, but she's not a contact. So I'm going to go ahead and select her, create the new act contact. I guess just forgot to add her. So again, we want to make sure that she's in the database. Sometimes we think we add contacts, but we don't really do that. And choose OK. And choose OK. So let's go back. I want to show you when you send an email as an attachment. I want to show you it looks a little bit different. I'm going to go back to Act, and we're going to look up Jennifer. And for some reason, it didn't attach. I'm not sure why. So let's go back to, let's try that again. We're going to go back. I'm going to reply. I'm going to attach the file. And I want to send it as an attachment. And I'm going to try it again. Okay, let's go back. There it is. And so when you see an attachment, you're used to, if you have your email integration set up, what you're used to seeing is when you click the email in the preview pane, that's where you can read your email, the whole thread. But when you select to send your emails as an attachment, what you'll see is you'll have a paperclip in the attachment column. So we're going to double click on the paperclip. That opens the email. And then you'll see your attachment. So if I want to open my attachment, you'll just open the attachment. So I hope you've seen, I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy. I hope you've seen some really great new features that you can use with the new integration with ACT and Outlook. Cindy?
Great. Thanks, Joyce, for sharing that information with us. Again, if you have any questions, any problems setting up your integration with Outlook, please let us know that as well. Our email addresses are listed here on the screen. Hopefully a lot of you already have that available in your database. Just want to let you know our next sessions we're coming up will be in October 11th, will be the next one. We've also got one scheduled for November 7th. We've not actually thought about the topics yet, so if you have any suggestions you'd like us to share with you in about a 20-25-minute webinar, we'd be happy to do that. But again, we want to thank you for your time today. We hope it's been helpful for you. And again, please reach out to us if there's anything that we can do for you to help you grow your business using ACT. We are here to help, and we love working with you, so we thank you so much for the opportunity to do so. Everybody have a great day, and again, thanks for joining us.